Hello everyone, my name is Avalon and we're going to be doing a non-suspicious troll level by Kanji today. The level information is on your screen and it's just a good level to be doing at the moment with the current competition going on. This first room has a really interesting set of setups with the fish falling down to there and this thwomp over here with no visible way to get through. So the first thing to note is that you can kill the thwomp like that collecting this key, but revealing these power blocks can also affect later on in the level. So here the Goomba drops down, releasing a spike ball and clearing the way. Then you can collect this mushroom here, and it has a really good setup because when you begin the level you see the mushroom and not the boo, so you may not realise the boo's there until it is far too late. Next in this room you have this hook section here which suggests you can get a mushroom here, but it is all Kaizo blocked up, which is great because you also can tell there's no way back down because of how the one-ways are going to work up there. The other route to go in this first room is this way, and there's a couple of weird things you can do here, but firstly this cannon block, you can break it, which will drop the cannon down, and there is purpose to that which I will explain soon, but for now I'll leave it up to demonstrate the next point. There's also a spike ball there which will drop it down. But yeah, so if you don't drop the cannon down, you can proceed into this section here, which is an immediate anti-softlock room. Really early in the level and almost a little bit pointless. And this is why you can knock that cannon down. It stops it sending more mushrooms in, which makes it a little bit easy for the player to die. However, with the cannon up, the mushrooms will continue to drop down from above and power up the player with that super mushroom. This is an annoying anti-softlock because it uses the twisters, which are quite rarely used effectively, to be honest, and this is definitely one of those examples, as this anti-softlock is really kind of ridiculous. You can use the spring if you time it right to bounce yourself out of the twisters again, but the issue I always find is that if you rush from one side to the other, it doesn't quite get you out. I think that maybe if there was one more square of space, this would have been ideal. But with those mushrooms coming down, if you don't get the spike ball to clear the cannon, you really have a hard time with this. It is possible, I will give it that, but I mean, if you're looking for possible for a good anti-softlock, you're clutching at straws. It's another one that is really early in the level, which is always a problem for me because there's nothing to lose. So if I don't manage to die here, I don't lose anything. If I choose to start over, I haven't got a checkpoint to protect, and you've got to ask how long will your player keep trying this for without anything to protect. So having died to that softlock and returning back to the start, you see the same setup again, and it's still quite enjoyable, but now that you know the boo's there and that the mushroom's there, it becomes quite a tedium to have to wait. So if you miss the cycle, it's a long wait in between each one, and the fastest I've managed to get out of this section is 15 seconds, which is a long time to be waiting at the start of your level. Next, if you continue along, behind the next platform, which is the skull coaster, there are some note blocks which will bounce you into the spikes above, which will present you damage boosting through the piranhas, which are our first non-suspicious setup. Now this is really well done. You cannot see the door there at all, but it is clearly there. Next you have a simple on-off game with the mushroom. I'm not sure if it's just to delay you so that the fish will get in line there or what, but this actually really made me chuckle the first time I went through it, because if you try and go through these fish to find the hidden pipe that should be hidden behind them, you will find there is actually nothing, just a pool of lava for you. Assuming you don't fall into the lava, you will find this mushroom also has some really interesting bounce mechanics. I'd love to see the mechanism below the map for how this works, because it just launches the mushroom over yourself multiple times before throwing the mushroom off the side of the cliff there. But there was two opportunities to get it, and neither of them are by staying in this car box, and I thought that was a really good addition. If you successfully catch the mushroom, you can proceed up to here and hit a hidden on-off block behind this buzzsaw here to reset the state so you can go through the door. Now, I'm not a big fan of on-off blocks hidden behind saws because there's no real indication for it. I would suggest putting some sort of tracks or something around just to show that there is something behind that saw, especially when it's so essential. Above this door there is a fish, which is quite cleverly placed and stops the player proceeding. Then you have this section here, which just says hi and has you on a long fall. And then there's a couple of options here. You can either wait for this mushroom by avoiding the 2 spikes and not crossing the one way, or you can go down this pipe. If you go down the pipe, it is merely just a hint, and I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what the hint's trying to tell you. I really don't. In addition to that, there are 2 hidden blocks stopping you go back up through the pipe, which is also quite a nice little addition. Because it gives you the player that hope that maybe they can pick up the mushroom, go back through the pipe and then proceed. But no, the only mushroom you can collect is the one falling by the saws. So again, avoiding these 2 saws and then collecting the mushroom that follows them, you can make your way through the pipe hidden by these buzzsaws in another non-suspicious entryway. This is really clever. A mushroom will drop out of that pipe, but a bomb will also blow the block that you're stood up. So if you jump up too quickly, you won't get the mushroom. If you jump up too slowly, the bomb will kill you anyway. It's a really good little setup there, and it just allows you to reach this point here. Now, this point here, I will show you a couple of things first, but you can just see between these boos, there is a checkpoint. And the reason I'm just going to show you collecting the checkpoint first is that next, if you go down this right-hand path, you will find that the cannon is blocking the left-hand path in a stereotypical sort of setup. Of course, once you die, the on-off switch will change, which will change the correct route to take. If you go through the pipe after the checkpoint, you'll find yourself this slow descent power-up setup. And these are always designed just to give you lots of time to read the text, as it then throws you into the lava. For most players, this will be when they realise they've hit checkpoint 1, which immediately respawns you here, and very rapidly you would get killed by boos. So returning to these, now we're going down the left one, because the on-off switch has changed, and therefore the cannon has changed also. Both sides seem to have a hidden block with a lava bubble in them, so there is ways to die, which is really well thought of by the level creator, especially if the player did choose to come down this left one the first time round, killed themselves, and then at the checkpoint tried the right one, they'd find themselves in a bit of a pickle. Next up is this room here, and there's a lot going on to start with, but firstly there is a bomb walking across the top of the screen which breaks out that block, which will allow you to trigger this thwomp into releasing the mushroom. I don't know why this hint is here, I really don't know. But then you reach this point here where you suddenly have a choice of pathways. So me being the person who trusts the non-suspicious setup I decided to go through the bloopers first, so we'll take these rooms first. In this first room, I like that you've got these spike tops here, as they will make the player consider, do they need this mushroom? And then of course you have the fish coming down to hit the player if they stand on these 2 marked blocks. On trying to collect the mushroom, the player will actually release a spike ball, which will begin a time trial to beat before this cannon falls down. This will give you the mushroom that you need to proceed. However, this is where the level gets clever. So again, there's some more spike tops up here, and behind them is nothing, and it's the second time they've done that in this level, and I really enjoy it because it does balance that sort of non-suspicious setup with trolls, and because of how it's set up, it's entirely on the player to make that decision, and therefore it's the player killing themselves, which is what keeps it amusing. But proceeding through the level, before we do, I'm just going to hit a block that's here, which has a lava bubble in it, stopping you collecting that mushroom. And I will show you why when we get down to the bottom here. There is a bomb here that releases this mushroom that, without igniting that lava bubble, would not be freed, which will then obviously allow you to proceed through this part of the level. That was also very clever and a little bit underrated, in that you'll see the first 2 blocks and think they're fine, and they aren't. Now, we'll go down the other branch at this point. where there is a delay to allow these lava bubbles to go and join their own non-suspicious setup. Down here. And there's a mushroom there and one that falls down into the fireballs. Now, you did need that mushroom to climb your way across these. Now, as you can see, there is a platform under this one and under this one, but it's slightly wider under that third one, and that's because the third one is a note block. Assuming you had the mushroom with you, you can make it up to this block here and break it, dropping down past the saw and into this checkpoint 0 area. My one complaint about this room is that missing the flying mushroom is a bit too easy to do, especially when there's so much other stuff going on in the level. So once you do get the flying mushroom, you can try your luck with the lava bubbles and of course fall all the way through them straight into the lava. Once you make it up here with the mushroom, you can make your way through this section, dropping through the buzzsaw and then on to this point here. This is where you see the checkpoint 0 mark that we were talking about earlier, and to the left here is the other direction that I could have came from with those hidden blocks. Going through this door will just take you on quite a magical journey as a P block goes, lifting you all the way up and then all the way back down. It's just a bit of chance for the level creator to have some fun with you. However, after going through these rooms, you'll find this point here which gives you a hint. And I personally think it's quite clear what this hint is telling you, but then equally I found the key by accident earlier on in the level, just from stopping the thwomp crushing me whilst I was trying to set up that area. So I'd hope that the players know that the key's in there, and therefore this key will make a little bit more sense to them. At which point they then reach this point here, which tells you there's a key door. It took me a second to work out which pipe it was behind, but once I had done, it was easy to go and find it again. It's the only pipe in the level that is covered by saws, so it shouldn't be that difficult for the player to work out. At this point, it appears to be supposed to set you at checkpoint 2. However, there is an issue with it in that the donut doesn't seem to bounce you over to it fast enough, which is a real shame, because it clearly changes some stuff in the level in that the cannon has now spawned, stopping you get into the anti-softlock area, which I think is an odd choice. I would have done that the other way around, so that the player felt like they had to protect CP2 and have it block it at CP0, because then it will look like there's more level for the player to explore, and they're more likely to get caught in there, and they're more likely to protect it thinking maybe something else has changed about this room, which would be far more effective in my opinion. But as I said, it didn't hit the checkpoint anyway, so now I have the additional problem of if I die, I will go back to checkpoint 1. Assuming, however, I don't die, I can collect the key and begin making my way back through this room and miss that mushroom. Unfortunately, I still can't collect this mushroom, so that's me gone, and I will have to go back all the way now to checkpoint 1. Here we are. Rather playing through the whole level again, we'll just hit start over and we'll make our way back into this section, collecting the key from the thwomp, releasing the spike trap from the Goomba, and then waiting for our mushroom here. This time, having got the mushroom, you can just simply make your way back across to this section here, through the door hidden behind these piranha plants, and back into the mushroom one-way. After playing through the level some more, you'll find yourself back at this point, where, like I said, this is the only pipe that has saws covering it, so hopefully if you avoid the saws here and collect the mushroom that follows after them, you can quite simply walk into this section, jump up, and then go through the key door. Then that is the level. That finale I found a bit complicated. Sometimes I accidentally walk through the pipe, so maybe there's something you can look at doing about that, but on the whole, quite a clever level. Now this level had some really clever stuff and some stuff that just isn't working at the moment. So going from point 1 would be that the actual setups, the non-suspicious setups, are really clever. You can clearly see your influences in them, which is great because the creator you've used as your influence, named in the description of your level, is an incredible level creator, and Wilfred should be really proud of the stuff that he produces. Especially when it's an inspiring stuff like this. And the way you use the non-suspicious setups to then link it into trolls was really, really well done. I really, really liked that. And take, for example, the blue top spikes was the first one, or this blue spike top, sorry, was the first one that caused me to go into one of your non-suspicious areas only to find myself dying. The problems with the level are quite simply that there is a lot of unnecessary waiting. So again, the beginning of the level, that's, like I said, the quickest I could get out of there was 15 seconds, which is quite a long time to start a level that you're probably going to die in quite a lot and have to start from there quite a lot. But on the plus side, once you know the trolls in this level, you can just breeze through it with very little difficulty, which is exactly what you want from a troll level. The other point is that the waiting after that checkpoint 1 is just frustrating. I understand why you've done it, is to build that sort of tension and get the message across to the player. And I like that checkpoint 1 was hidden in a non-suspicious setup as well. I really just like a lot of the non-suspicious setups you used, even though they were all using that same one of just covering a pipe or door with as many enemies as possible and then damage boosting through. The areas that I would improve are, like I said, that anti-softlock area being available on the checkpoint 2 round of the area, not the checkpoint 0, just because then players would see that it changed and maybe explore it and fall into it, and then wish to protect it because the room had changed with the checkpoint 2. Obviously you need to fix that. I don't know if it would work every time going through the door, whether it was because I had the P-switch active or what, but that is something you need to look at, is getting that checkpoint fixed. It's obviously just the donut's not fast enough, or it's going in the wrong direction. Aside from that, I thought the level was really good. I couldn't find any sort of reasonably easy softlocks to get into. It was just your anti-softlock room seemed a bit harsh, and there was no weight to it. But that being said, I thought the level overall was fantastic. I definitely gave it a heart. I think the setups were good. I think the trolls were clever, and because it was my own fault, I thought it was funny. It didn't get frustrating at any point, which is key in a troll level. So Kanji, really well done on creating that level. Now I'm just going to set a world record on it. Obviously, slightly different to normal world records, where once you have the knowledge, it's easy just to breeze through. But yeah, so I have been Avalon, and this has been Kanji's level, non-suspicious troll level.